Got a drop. Scott,
Here.
Waters,
Here.
Gretkin,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Shaner. Here.
We stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Teamwork.
We have a proclamation today that reads, whereas the Salvation Army exists to meet human in need wherever and whenever and however they can. The Salvation Army assists approximately 23 million individuals annually in 130 countries worldwide. Whereas the Salvation Army does this providing emergency food pantry assistance, rent and utility assistance, youth programs, adult programs, free produce days, disaster services, the Pathway of Hope program, Codes for Kids, school supply drives, and the famous Red Kettles, and much, much more. And whereas the holiday season, the Salvation Army of Siouxland expects to see a greater need of services, but hope marches on. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 12th, 2021 to December 24th, 2021 as Salvation Army Red Kettle Days in Sioux City, and urge all our citizens to actively volunteer and donate to this holiday season. I'd like to present this to you, say a few words if you would.
Well, we're excited for the upcoming season. We are actually brand new here, so we're learning the ropes, but we thank Sioux City for what they've done for Salvation Army in the past, and we're excited to work with Sioux City again. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome.
For those of you who don't know, they bought the old Goodwill camp and are spending lots and lots of money out there making that a premier campground. So thank you for that as well. Adoption Awareness Month, Amber Searles. We have a proclamation. How are you guys today? Get out of school early? No. Whereas the City of Sioux City recognizes the importance of giving children and teens permanent, safe, and healthy homes through adoption. And whereas more than 100,000 children in foster care across the United States, including more than 700 in Iowa, are waiting to be adopted into forever homes. And whereas teens who will be transitioning to adulthood have an especially urgent need for adoptive families and permanent connections to caring adults. And whereas November is a special time to give thanks and raise public awareness for adoptive families, the Iowa Department of Human Services, LSI Foster Care and Adoption, and the numerous individuals, public organizations, and private agencies who work diligently to ensure every child has a safe and stable home. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim November 20th to 21st as Adoption Awareness Month in Sioux City and urge all citizens to learn more about the ways we can positively support youth in our community. I'd like to present this to you and say a few words if you would. Are you having your big adoption day over at the courthouse this month?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Amber Searles, and I just wanted to thank you all for the Adoption Awareness Proclamation. I'm a fellow licensor with Lutheran Services in Iowa. We and my husband and I are foster and adoptive parents. We have adopted 2. So I just thank you for making this a big deal in our community, because the need for foster and adoptive parents is extremely huge right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Interview for the Sioux City Advisory Committee, Carly Hansen. Come up and tell us why you would like to serve and a little bit about yourself, please.
Okay. My name is Carly Hansen. I am the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communications at Morningside University. I have lived in Sioux City for pretty much forever. And the reason I'm interested in being a part of this committee and at this advisory board is because, one, I think it's important to empower the work that's already being done in Sioux City. I think there are a lot of people and groups who are already doing a lot of great work to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think part of the role of the advisory board would be to help support and elevate the work being done by those people to at the city level, and just to hear directly from the people who are on the ground every day, but also who are members of those marginalized or historically underrepresented groups. But I also just think that it's important as we continue to strategically plan for the city as far as how can we grow, how can we evolve, how can we meet the needs of our community. And I think that we all know in this day and age especially how important diversity, equity, and inclusion is to that. So I would like to be part of those conversations. I serve on the equivalent committee at Morningside, and so we have those conversations all the time about our students. And when we talk about creating community for them, part of that is how can we improve and support the Siouxland community in hopes that they'll stay and make this their home. So I'd love to be part of those conversations and address those challenges and find solutions.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Thanks for applying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Angel Wallace.
This feels so strange.
Yeah, right, no doubt.
So I'm Angel Wallace. I am a member of the NAACP. I'm a treasurer and the membership chair. And as part of the Inclusive Sioux City, there is a representative from the NAACP, and I would like to fulfill that position. I am not originally from Sioux City. I'm from Kansas City originally, but I have been here in Sioux City for the past 15 years, working for the city in Parks and Recreation.
Doing a great job.
Questions for you?
Especially when it comes to parades. Thank you.
All special events, that is my hat, right?
Thanks for making the application.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank
You'll
you
be
so
great.
much.
Yep, you'll
All
do
right,
well,
appreciate
Angel.
it.
You'll be
Thank
great.
you.
We'll go to the consent agenda today. That's items 3 through 9D. Consider them to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote's asked for by a council member. If you want to speak on an item that I read the number, please come up and speak on it as I'm reading it. Remember to state your name and address so we can follow up with you. And remember that you'll be limited to 3 minutes. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is a reading of the city council minutes of November 1st, 2021. 4 is a motion accepting the Building and Housing Code Board annual report. 5 is a resolution amending the position classification manual and salary schedule by adopting the updated job description for parking and meter operation supervisor position. Janelle's not here, but Bob answered my question. She didn't know what I meant. I don't know how she didn't know, but that's okay. 6 is a resolution authorizing payment to K&P Construction for the Anderson Dance Pavilion sidewalk replacement project. 7 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a contract to Christensen Construction for the Grandview Booster Station Improvement Project. B is a resolution awarding a service provider agreement to Thompson Electric to provide a security camera system at the parking ramps. I need to abstain on that item. C is a resolution approving a transfer of public funds agreement with Iowa DHS to secure GEMT funding. D is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with Black & Veatch for the UB disinfection. E is a resolution approving a consent to security agreement and assignment to development agreement for the Benson Building. 8 are actions relating to purchasing. Items 8A and 1 to 2 are resolutions awarding purchase orders to Stu Hansen Dodge City Jeep for 1 Ford half-ton long box vehicle and 1 Ford F-150 half-ton crew cab vehicle. 9 are receipt of minutes. See the list. Come forward if you have any questions. That concludes the consent agenda, and we can vote electronically. Passes 5-0. 10 is motions appointing Sydney McManamy to the Events Facility and Tourism Advisory Board for a 3-year term. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 11 is an ordinance naming a tract of unnamed right-of-way near 901 River Drive as Military Road. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
The hearing is now, I guess we don't have a hearing on this, so go ahead.
Items 11, 12, and 13 are all fairly simple. They're all, the city of Sioux City is the petitioner. We're cleaning up items that need to be dedicated to, and all of these items passed unanimously with very little discussion or comment.
Thank you.
Is this supposed to have a hearing?
The hearing was the first reading.
This is the first reading.
We're on 11.
Hearing is open and anyone to be heard. Hearing is closed. Everybody vote? Passes 5-0. Is anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
Nope.
No.
I'll move that.
Second.
Waters.
Aye.
Gretkin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. I'll move second and third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 12 is an ordinance naming a tract of unnamed right-of-way near 1925 South Lakeport Street as South Lakeport Street. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Okay. Okay, then we'll just read it.
What did you say?
I don't know.
That there's no hearing.
I don't know why it's different than others, but I'm just going to vote today and move ahead. It was 5-0. Okay. Thank you. You're fine. Anybody opposed waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move that.
Second.
Gretkin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Shaner. Aye. Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
I'll move second, third.
Second.
Hope you didn't miss a big real estate sale coming here for these today.
No, I always have enough time for,
Okay.
for the city council.
And you're sure welcome to stay for the duration of the meeting.
No, that's what you all get paid the big bucks for. so.
Exactly.
Passes 5-0. 13 is an ordinance naming a tract of unnamed right-of-way near 4721 Morningside Avenue as South Lakeport Street. P and Z recommends approval of this item. I'll move it.
Second.
Passes 5-0. Anybody opposed waiving statutory rule?
No.
I'll move it.
Moore.
Aye.
Shaner. Aye. Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Gretkin.
Aye.
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 14 is an ordinance rezoning 1110 27th Street. Petitioner is Mohammed Sahad. P and Z recommends approval. First consideration approved October 25th. Second consideration approved November 1st. I'll move third reading.
Second. You're good, buddy. I was just giving you a break.
Anyone to be heard? There's no hearing, so if they want to be heard, they got to come up, and it doesn't appear to be.
And this, just tell me again, or remind me again, please, the 11 o'clock time, wherever that's,
That was passed as a Board of Adjustment item. So this, again, a reminder is that this particular property needed to be reviewed by two boards. One for rezoning, which the P and Z handled and is before you today, and then the Board of Adjustment dealt with conditional use permit and put the time restriction on as part of the.
So that action has already been approved?
Yeah, it's already been approved, and the Board of Adjustment acts without, unless you guys remand it back, it automatically stands. So.
Okay, thank you.
Passes 4-0 to 1, or 4-1, I vote no. 15's hearing an ordinance vacating the north-south alley abutting 625 Cunningham. Petitioners Heinhold Hog Market. P&Z recommends approval. I'll move that, but I got a lot of questions.
Second.
The public hearing's now open. Go ahead.
Okay, so this item came before us as part of vacating of an existing alleyway. In the process of review, an alleyway was discovered on an existing site for commercial development, and so we reviewed that item. There was very little discussion or comment on it. We find this from time to time when we find a business that's got a decent amount of land. Sometimes they identify that there's been an unvacated alley on site. And as part of their due diligence, they bring it forward, and then we went ahead and passed it unanimous with little discussion.
But this alley is where they back into their dock, is that correct? Chris? Isn't this where they back? They're already using this alley. The problem is that other people can't use it.
Brian Forster, City Planning. Yes, the alley is being used at the moment by the Heinhold Hog Market
And other people.
Correct. And Feed Energy wanted to purchase the alley originally, but they did not complete the sale with Heinhold Hog Market. And so Heinhold came back to purchase the alley to then subsequently.
Can you show me the alley? You got pictures? Because there's a north-south alley and there's an east-west alley. And originally when I don't know the general siding, why they didn't say something, because originally they agreed to let the other one sign off on it, but I think this.
This is where they unload the.
Because they were going to give them some access originally, or at least allow them to continue, but. Yeah, it's just, okay. But Feed Energy wanted this one over here.
East-west?
Yeah. So what happens if they build a fence here? And the reason I'm asking, I was there the other day, and General Siding had a truck basically backing up this alley, and then they came in and backed into their dock.
The key question for us was,
Right, I know.
yeah, does the public need it as part of the transportation network? That's the question we reviewed, and that's where we didn't see the public needing this space, but I'll let.
So you're saying we would vacate, but the mayor's point is between two private entities.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. As noted on this map, the north-south alley is the alley in question. It was originally applied for by Feed Energy to the south, as Ryan mentioned. That item was subsequently pulled as the purchase of Heinhold was not complete. It's our understanding that Feed Energy is acquiring the Heinhold property. So therefore, Heinhold applied for the alley vacation. As with all alleys, that alley will be offered to each abutting owner, Spanko, which is the siding company, to the west, and Heinhold to the east. And I believe the petitioners in the audience as well, and they can answer any questions.
Okay.
So this will help them facilitate the sale of the rest of the whole property.
That's staff's understanding.
Does that all sound right, sir?
I want to hear it from you. So you guys, somebody's going to have to come up and tell us what you're doing here. Is Heinhold selling?
Yes.
Who are you selling to?
Feed Energy.
So you're selling to your whole hog station?
Yes. Steve Peterson, Heinhold Hog Markets.
Well, that makes a whole bit, no, nothing, well, go ahead, maybe it was, but I don't get the full report, but go ahead. So you're selling that completely out?
Yes, we own the major side of the property to
Right.
the east. So currently, We own the property that says Dodge and the property going to Cunningham. We own a horseshoe shape. Feed Energy.
You can't own Dodge Avenue. That's a,
No, the space where it says Dodge, or, no, that
Right.
would be the road.
but you don't own Dodge Avenue, the street.
No, he does not.
No, I misspoke. We
Okay.
own down below.
The white line on the,
If
Yeah.
you come off
Outside of Dodge
If you come off
Avenue.
Cunningham Drive, south of where your, or below where your arrow is right now, your cursor, come on down.
Are they gonna have to cement this driveway then if they use it?
It's an existing driveway that's currently a dedicated alley, and we typically would not require, unless they change their site plan and make any additions on the Heinhold site, then if there's improvements made, then we would look at improving the conditions of the alley. But if it's going to be used as is, then
Well, they're not, Feed Energy is not in the same business as Heinhold. They're not even
I'm
close.
assuming they'll
Understood.
I'm assuming they'll demo it. You see where their trailers are parked on the
Right.
south side, to me, that's south,
Right.
to the right-hand side of the alleyway. And again, we've had a good relationship with Feed Energy. We've allowed that. That's our property. We want to come in, we want to sell this property. We're purchasing property over in Nebraska. So we're going to vacate this facility and move further to the west.
Why are you going to Nebraska? You got a lot of hog houses here in town.
I was gonna say.
I know you picked up a
Tough
competitor.
location to get trucks in and out of.
Yeah, well,
We
we have
looked at
other land.
property down by the new plant, but Wickman has a facility down there. So we can go further west, get closer to the Fremont facility.
Okay. What are you guys gonna do with it, with Feed Energy?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kidron Knox, Vice President of Operations, Engineering, and Strategy for Feed Energy Company. We plan to expand operations some using this property. However, we do not plan on limiting access to the siding company at all from their, what would be their south. None of the expansion that we plan on doing in the future would influence access there because we also use that for access. And just like we've worked with Heinhold to be able to use some of that area, we won't limit access to the siding company to their south end.
So are you gonna tear this down and build stuff?
That's likely part of the plan is to demo a decent portion of that site, yes. We've already invested, it'll be around $6 million in upgrading that facility to the south at 800 Cunningham Drive. And we are planning on expanding operations long-term in Sioux City.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
thanks for clearing that up.
Passes 5-0.
That was first reading.
Okay, anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move that.
Second.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Redkin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 16 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Floyd Park Golf Course Drainage Improvements Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 16 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property abutting 3263 Virginia Street. Petitioners Adlin Ricknitter. I'll move it.
Second.
Yeah, public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard?
That's 17, isn't it?
17, yes. Sorry, 17. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. passes 5-0. 18 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property abutting 3020 Panama Street. The petitioner is Jacob L. Gunya. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. Tom Anderson, please come forward. You need that.
Thank you. I'm Tom Anderson. I've been here before. Before I get to my main topic, I want to bring up one minor item. The median on Hamilton Boulevard, north of Stone Park Boulevard, the curb on that median has been getting chewed up badly for the past 3-4 years. There are chunks of concrete out of that curb extensively. There's rebars protruding. I'm just wondering if there is a plan to get that thing repaired. It's starting to be a hazard, but it's been going on for 3-4 years. I'm just wondering why the street department hasn't taken care of that.
Gordon, can you check that out? Yeah, we'll get our city engineering on it. Thanks.
Okay. You guys know that I'm very concerned about the 2075 interchange proposal that the DOT has come up with. I've had a meeting with Shane. I missed the meeting because I didn't get a heads up when Dakin was here. But Shane told me that they are going to cut the hill down east of this intersection, okay, so the sight distance is greatly improved. That's good, but it still doesn't eliminate the main problem, which they have proposed, which I am referring to as 1930s technology, okay? The best engineering innovation that highway design engineers have come up with in the last 100 years is the cloverleaf. We have a partial cloverleaf there now that is working very well, okay? I've mentioned this before, but with the DOT's proposal of 2 stoplights at the new interchange, that changes everything. And one big thing that the city is going to have to wrestle with is what happens when the power goes out to those stoplights, okay? Now, I've got that detailed a little bit in 3 and also on the second page on items 4, 5, and 6. Please look this 3-page report over because it took me 5 or 6 hours to type this where anybody else could probably do it in 20 minutes. But anyway, this is a major piece of work for me, okay? So please read it over. I'm here because I care about Sioux City and especially the police and fire crews. That is going to be a mess when the power goes out. You're going to have an instant traffic jam, going to have very angry motorists, possibly some fender benders. All of the truckers are now going to be dumped into that intersection according to the DOT proposal because the curved exit ramp going east and the inside loop that takes traffic south to I-29 in Nebraska, that's going to be gone. So people are going to be coming in there with fully loaded semis and trying to turn, okay? It's going to be a totally different ballgame. But the police and fire department, especially in the wintertime, as I've outlined in items 4, 5, and 6, they're going to have major problems out there. When it's 15, 20 below zero in January, and possibly the lights go out, 20-mile-an-hour winds, snow, and icy road conditions, you're going to have a major problem there. They're going to risk the lives of the police and the fire crews. So please be aware of that. And then also, this isn't going to be confined just to the wintertime. This will happen all year long. And the cost of the city to send police and fire crews out there is going to be way off scale compared to what you're paying now. Okay, there's very few incidents or accidents out there. So please understand that. I think it's going to be over $100,000 every year that you guys are going to have to pay out. But the risk to the fire and the police crews are going to be significant trying to get that straightened out, okay? I've got a degree in civil engineering from Iowa State. I have taken highway design courses, and I have stood up to engineers over the last 35 years of my career when they've made mistakes. We all make mistakes, I get that. I'm not perfect either. But this proposal is bad. This is 1930s technology, and all I'm saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? Please understand that the risk goes up significantly to the city of Sioux City and their police and firemen, okay?
Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a couple of comments to make, Mr. Anderson. First of all, I want to apologize for me. I wish you would have had a heads up as well. I think it was at the council meeting, I think. Now, I've been through a lot in the past couple of weeks, so my recollection might not be as good. And by the way, it would have taken me 5 to 6 hours as well to prepare this paper, so I feel your pain.
Yeah.
But I thought it was at the same meeting that we, as a council and mayor, had decided, let's get Dakin on board as soon as we can. And I think we even talked about, was the next week possible, but maybe.
I had to leave fairly quickly.
Okay, so
Okay.
I wish you would have had a heads up as well. And that wasn't intentional by any
Appreciate
means.
that.
So I wish you would have. What I wanted to ask you that would help me is, and please, it can just be a freehand drawing, but what would really help me to understand what you're saying is if you could take what we have now and what the DOT is proposing. I mean, I've seen those, but if you could draw your thoughts
Sure.
on those papers, that would help me a lot.
I've got that done. I didn't bring it with me, but I'll get it to you.
Okay, I would appreciate it. And if you want me to pick it up somewhere, I can do that too.
No, I can
but-
get it to you.
Okay, but that would help me, and I appreciate that you prepare this. But also, I need to tell you that I'm relying on the engineers, such as yourself, for advice, sound advice, for guidance, and which way do we go on this. So, you know, I don't know exactly what we have here, but I'm willing to study it and try to come up with some answers.
With all due respect to Dakin and Shane, they're good people. I get that. They've done good service for this community. But the Iowa DOT is a big bureaucracy, and it's very top-heavy from the top on down. The district engineers get very little say as to what the design bureau from Ames comes up with, okay? And I've talked to a number of them. I had friends that were going to get through Iowa State to be a district engineer, and the one thing they told me was that you do what you're told. Now, that was 50 years ago. I understand that. I'm that old. But it hasn't changed much, okay? And there is a little bit of fear to challenge the upper levels, the upper echelon, okay? So I get that, and like I say, all due respect to Dakin and Shane. So, but that's the problem, okay? And that's why there's no opposition, but I'm used to that. I've had to stand up to engineers in the structural steel industry and stop some big mistakes. And it's tough because there's a little bit of pride involved that, you know, that goes a long way towards stopping this. But please understand, this is something that I care deeply about. And like I say, in here, I do not want to see a tragedy, especially with the police and firemen, okay?
Just so you know, I did have the staff, I didn't write it, but write a letter to them telling them that we're not enamored with their design, and it basically came back that they've done a lot of work and that's probably the way it's going to be. And in all reality is the city can't stop them. It's their highway. So, but we'll continue. I'm not saying that we won't continue trying. I'm just trying to tell you where we're at, so.
Right, but as far as I'm concerned, the life of the police and the fire personnel and the motoring public trump the Iowa DOT, okay? I don't care what they say.
I know.
They are public servants to us. We pay them their salary, so they need to listen to us. And the city engineers and, you know, city police department, fire department, they have to have a say because 20 below zero, 35 below wind chill on slick, icy pavement in January with a massive traffic jam out there because of a semi going into the back end of a minivan with a family in it. Do you guys want to face that? It's going to be bad, okay? Now, the odds of 232 happening are far longer than this happening. This has a greater chance of happening than Flight 232. But Gary Brown was ready for it, okay? I'm saying you guys can get ready for it by saying, we don't want this. What we have works, okay? So please, I would ask for you to stand up to the DOT and say no thanks. Have them fix the northeast quadrant. Shane did tell me that they are looking seriously at putting in the 30-mile-an-hour curved exit there instead of that sharp 90-degree corner.
They're cutting a hill.
That would help.
And they're cutting a hill.
Huge, okay? So that's all they need to do. And,
Yeah,
you know,
taking the hill down.
if they could save that $4 or $5 million or more to put in a 2-lane bridge over Highway 20, like a mile east of there, and put in their diamond interchange there, so you could service both the north and the south sides very safely, you know, for development, that's where the money needs to be spent. But don't mess with something that's working really well, okay?
All right. Mr. Anderson, I did just want to ask a quick question. If you could, I do, like Dan was saying, I appreciate you writing this out. I very much so do. But I was going to ask if you could email it to myself or all of us, I would really appreciate that, because then it's easier for me to forward on and try to get some answers from Dakin and Shane and just see what their thoughts would be.
I'll just bring it down to the city manager and they can distribute it
We
for
can
you.
get it. We've got it. We
Okay.
can get it.
I just, yeah, if you had it typed up, I was just saying send it on, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah, we'll get it. Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
I'll
Thanks.
get you a diagram, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else be heard? Mr. Gratkin.
Nothing, Mayor, thanks.
Ms. Shaner.
I don't have anything today either. I'm just gonna continue to think about this Highway 20 interchange here. It's hard to not go and follow what these experts in the industry and our own city experts, so I'm interested to see the follow-up on that.
Okay. Alex?
I would just, a couple of quick things. First and foremost, I would thank the voters that turned out. I'm excited to serve another 4 years. I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I've said it on the trail and I would say it here. I think we have a lot of positive momentum and good things happening in our community. I'm hoping to, or looking forward to being a part of it for the next 4 years and appreciate that vote of confidence. I think that there's always a lot of work to be done, but I think that you have a council that's really dedicated to furthering the mission of this community for sure. So I appreciate that. The second thing that I would bring up is on this last Saturday, I attended an Oxfam hunger banquet that was put on up at West High. And I would just say I went and participated in that. And I always think, you know, about the less fortunate and what we can do. And I know as a council, we try to really strive for equity and really trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our citizens all over the city. But it was really eye-opening just to have that conversation surrounding hunger and thinking about what was going on around the world. It's an interactive type experience if you've never had one of those before. And so it just really illustrated not only the need that we're facing as a country, but also I was talking with the food bank representative that was there, and approximately 10,000 individuals in our community are food insecure. I was thinking about that and they were talking about it, and it's 10,000 people. And what was the exercise that really stuck with me is they were talking about close your eyes and think just for a second of what that person looks like that's maybe food insecure or doesn't have access to a good meal or things like that. And I think you think of the stereotypical things, you know, of people begging or maybe what that looks like. And they said that no, in their findings, and Monette was saying this at the school district level as well, or Monique, sorry, was saying this at the school district level, was that no, in fact, that's not often the case. It's more maybe the barista that served you coffee or the waitress or the person at odd jobs or trying to work different jobs, or that family that you know down the street that you don't hear much from. It's families like that that maybe are food insecure. But it was a powerful program. And so I think that we as a council need to continue to really invest in our neighborhoods and continue to try to meet that need and do everything that we can for the people of Sioux City. The last thing that I would say is if there are specifically any alumni of Morningside University in the audience or listening or anything like that, there's an opportunity to meet the new presidential candidates. They're starting to come here. They're actually, the first candidate is on campus and in the community today. And so tomorrow morning, there's an opportunity to visit with them, or at least this first candidate, starting at 7:30 a.m. over at the Marriott in South Sioux City. So if you're interested in learning more about that, check it out on Facebook or on the webpage. But we hope to learn a lot more about them, because I think obviously the president of a university in our city, really can direct the vision for the future of that institution. And so I think that's pretty important. So I will be there. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Dan?
A couple things, Mayor and Council. This Thursday is Veterans Day, and there are several Veterans Day ceremonies, one at 11 o'clock, 11:11, 11 o'clock at the Girls Inc., and there's also a ceremony at the Woodbury County Courthouse at 11 o'clock, and I'm sure there are other ceremonies that will be taking place on Veterans Day. So please turn out for one of those and celebrate the freedom that we have and the price we have paid, that our veterans have paid, as well as their families. It's very important that we do so. Secondly, I just want to thank staff. I was going to make some comments during the agenda item, but I just want to thank staff for supporting and getting the security cameras in our parking ramps. The four of them, Discovery, Heritage, River Landing, and Martin Luther King Jr. parking ramps. You know, I think the write-up was accurate from staff that there isn't a great problem, but there's also a perception of having ongoing safety. And I think this council has always put public safety first and foremost on just about every decision we make. And so I think the cameras will help with the perception that these parking ramps that we're using, and we're using more and more all the time because we're finding out that it actually is convenient, it's inexpensive, and it's available. I think it's important that we add to the perception that the safety is there for our users of the parking ramps. At least I want to know that, and cameras and lighting will go a long way in that regard. So thank you, staff, for bringing that to us today, and I'm glad it passed on a 5-0 vote. I wasn't surprised, and that's all I have, Mayor.
I've said this before, and it's the truth. I think we already knew that the stoplights were coming out on Hamilton. We're done with the study, right? Yep. We're going to get snow in the next couple weeks, and we got stop signs sitting out there with sandbags on them. Guess what? We're not going to even have stop signs with the first snow, guys. When are we going to put permanent stop signs in at least, even if they're temporary permanent? We got to get that done. I mean, you got a stop sign on West 4th Street. It's about this tall with sandbags on it. Well, the snowplow's not going to see that when we have snow and it's blinding outside. I don't know why we're waiting to get those up. It doesn't make any sense to me. Can we make sure we get that done?
I think they're bringing it forward to vote on it here in the next few weeks.
It doesn't matter. Even if you've got temporary, you can pull those temporaries out, Alex. We're going to have snow, and the snowplow is going to hit those stop signs, and then you're going to have chaos. You talk about the guy that's just here telling about cars pulling off. Pete knows what I'm talking about. If they don't have a stop sign and there's no red flashing lights, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go through it. I said West 4th. I meant West 3rd.
Gordon, is that something that we have in inventory, the poles and the actual
Yes,
sign?
they got plenty.
So we,
Yeah,
right,
they
so we don't have
got
to wait or like we did the big poles and things.
Don't want to wait and have a bunch
Right.
of cars running through intersections.
I agree with your point, Mayor, but I also want to make sure we have our hearing on the 15th, I think is what it's
That's
scheduled.
fine, but
Yeah.
even when they were done temporary, Dan, they
Yes.
should have put up temporary. You got stop signs, and
I agree with
that's
your
a
point.
legal problem that once somebody hits those, you put something in the right of way, guess what? You pay for that. Should have never been done that way to begin with. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Scott. Waters.
Aye.
Redkin.
Hey, Mike.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
No.
Yeah, they're 3 feet tall. I don't know.